Hey guys, I know I'm not in my typical location. You're gonna have to forgive me for that. It's been a very, very busy week. I'm dog sitting Sadie tonight, and I had a very busy week with a golden doodle named Jones, or Jonesy. So it's been a very busy week, but I still wanted to get a video out to you guys, so we're filming at this house tonight. So forgive the lighting, forgive if the audio seems a little off. But on that note, today's review is sponsored by Jonesy, because he's the dog I saw a lot last week. Also sponsored by Sadie, because she's a good girl.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Audition.
いつもの部屋に虫を切らるわ。
I've realized that even though I love Asian horror, I've neglected Asian horror on this channel. I focus so much on Italian horror, which is not going to stop anytime soon, but I wanted to show some love for Asian horror because I love Asian horror. Asian horror! So for the next two videos, we're gonna spotlight some movies by one of my favorite Japanese horror directors, Takashi Miike. And what better movie to start with than his most notorious horror movie, Audition. Just to give everyone fair warning here, Audition is a hard movie to talk about without spoiling the third act. I could, but that would be a boring video. If you have not seen Audition and you want to avoid spoilers, please go check out Audition before watching the rest of this video. But keep in mind, Audition does have a reputation for being disturbing and fucked up, which it is, but not until the third act. We're gonna get into that more after the plot.
ごめん。それで元気だった。
Oh, and I also have to apologize for all the Japanese names I'm about to butcher in this video. I am very sorry about that. The movie opens with the happiest occasion, a death in the family. We follow a man named Shigeharu Oyama. The movie takes place 7 years after the death of his wife. Shigeharu comes across as this really nice guy. Good boss, good father, just an all-around good guy. His son encourages him to marry again, but Shigeharu doesn't want to go through the hassle of dating a bunch of women until he finds the one. Luckily, he has a friend in the movie business who comes up with a brilliant idea. Hold a fake audition and meet women that way. That sounds like a horrible thing to do to somebody.
次行こうか。
Shigeharu, as nice a guy as he is, goes along with this rather sexist idea. Through this audition, he meets a young woman named Asami.
バレエのことを聞いてもいいかな。腰を痛めたって書いてあったけど。
そうです。
She's this quiet, shy, former ballerina. Shigeharu becomes infatuated with her and soon starts to date her. Eventually, their worlds collide, and it becomes fucked up.
歌も1枚多かったみたいですよ。
I love Audition. It was one of the first Japanese horror movies I had ever seen. But it is one of those movies that's hurt by its reputation. It's in the same category as The Exorcist. For years, The Exorcist has been called the scariest movie of all time. And when you have that kind of reputation for so long, when new audiences come to watch that movie, they can be disappointed.
Stick your cock up her ass, you motherfucking worthless cocksucker.
Be silent!
Audition has the same problem. It's known for being this disturbing, creepy, messed up film, which it is, in the third act of the movie. Audition is a slow burn. When it comes to slow burn horror movies, you have good slow burns and you have bad slow burns. In a bad slow burn, the movie does nothing interesting and eventually throws some horror at you in the third act. In a good slow burn, the movie focuses on something that's not really horror. It basically starts out as a different genre, with horror happening around the edges of the story, and then slowly invading the movie until the horror completely takes over. Audition is a good slow burn. At its core, Audition is a romance, a romantic drama, or a romantic comedy. You can see this flick working as a romance. A lonely guy holds a fake audition to meet women, meets a woman, the two hit it off, and then comes the inevitable point where the woman finds out what he did, and then he has to win her back. But in this movie, instead of that happening, the woman likes to torture people.
みんな
This is where we get into spoilers, so that's your last warning. Audition does what a good slow burn should do. It plants little nuggets of horror throughout the first half of the movie. First hint that something's wrong with Asami is after hers and Shigeharu's first interaction. Shigeharu says, "I'll give you a call," and she says, "I'll wait for your call." Next thing we see is Asami staring at her phone. That's such an unsettling image. In horror movies, there are certain ways to portray insanity. Having someone do nothing but stare at their phone is one of the creepiest ways to do that. It's one thing to have a person do something, it's another thing to have that person do nothing. But what adds to the creepiness is the fact that there's a bag in the background. A big bag that looks like it has something in it. One of the scariest moments in this movie is the first time we see that bag move. It's that realization that creates that sense of dread that follows us throughout the film. Someone's in that bag. That thought sticks with us throughout the film. Even when it's focusing more on the romance side of things, we cannot relax. Asami comes across as this very sweet woman. Many men would be drawn to her. But we know that there's something fucked up in her private life. It's that idea that I find so terrifying in movies. We don't know what people are like behind closed doors. Which brings us to the third act. Given Audition's reputation for being a very disturbing movie, newcomers to this film might find it boring, but the third act is made all the more impactful when you allow yourself to just settle into this safer story. Then we get the guy in the bag, and it's so much more disturbing because we've gotten a romance up until this point. First of all, the fact that Asami is keeping this guy in a bag in the first place is disturbing enough, but then we see what she's done to him. This guy is missing his tongue, he's missing some fingers, he's missing his feet, and then Asami vomits into a bowl and then feeds it to him. common knowledge amongst Audition fans that that's real vomit in that bowl? Who's hungry? It's a fucked up scene the more you think about it. Asami didn't kill this guy. She just crippled him and deformed him so she could keep him as some kind of pet. Then we get to the torture scene, and again, this scene is made so much more impactful because the movie built up to this with a safe romance story. Asami paralyzes Shigeharu. He can do nothing but just lay there as she starts laying into him, but he's still able to feel all the pain that she's about to inflict on him. And she starts out by taking these needles and pushing them into his body, including in his eyes. But these needles are just a prologue before Asami starts going after his foot. She cuts off his feet with a razor wire. It is disturbing, especially with the fact that Shigeharu is paralyzed. Like I said, he can do nothing but watch as this woman just tears him apart. But what really makes this scene so damn disturbing is the fact that Asami is enjoying this so much. She's just diving into this torture with this giddiness, this over-enthusiastic joy. She's having a blast as she's tearing through this guy's flesh. It adds that extra level of disturbing when the person is enjoying the torture. That's why Asami is one of my favorite horror villains. I absolutely love Audition, but I understand that it is hurt by its reputation. I get it, but it did earn that reputation. Audition was one of my first Japanese horror movies, and it was my introduction to one of my favorite Asian horror directors. But I'm actually a bigger fan of Ichi the Killer, and we'll be getting into that in the next video. But until then, let's get to the Grindhouse rankings. We've got a body count of 2. I think it gets a little confusing in the third act. The kills consist of decapitation by razor wire and being shoved down the stairs. There is a little nudity in this flick with a flash of breasts, but not much else. There may not be a huge body count, but this movie is more about the torture, and the torture scene is intense. The movie is a slow burn, which may throw new viewers off given its reputation. Asami is a fantastic villain, one of the best in Asian horror. She starts off as a sweet woman, but reveals her sadistic side. Shigeharu is a good main character. He starts off as a nice guy, but as the movie goes along, we learn that he's not the most innocent person. The third act gets a little confusing, but it's very well done. I'm giving this a 4.8 out of 5. It's a great Japanese horror movie, just understand that it's a slow burn. You will get to the disturbing stuff at the right time. As always, I want to thank all of you for continuing to watch and support this channel. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know your favorite slow burn horror movie. This is the Maniac, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. And just for the fun of it, here's a video of Jonesy playing fetch in a pond.